guys, welcome back to Literally Iconic Podcast.
We are the mother-daughter duo
who do and say all things iconic.
We're back.
Again.
I feel like every time we record recently, we've been gone.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real. We always do like a little recap of how our week's been, and my week hasn't been the greatest. It's not a positive note, so let's start on your week, Kimberly. Tell us a little bit about your week.
Imagine like, it's fantastic. No, I feel like I also, like, we both needed a break. I mean, I'm not like sad or anything, but even if I was, it's still valid. It's just I feel like sometimes like we tend to post everything we do, and it was necessary for a break. But I'm doing good. I'll say a little bit more on that right now, but I want you to tell us how your week was. It was kind of like we're doing back to school and stuff, so not really, anything fun or entertaining for you guys. But we'll get into the back to school right now.
My week has not been the best, and it's crazy how, like Kimberly said, we attempt to share everything online and social media, and I feel like we live in an era where we can't share the bad because it's like, oh, you're doing it for attention, or you, I don't know how to explain it, like, oh, you're so negative on your platforms. And my thing is, I was really, like, not this weekend, but this past weekend, really going through it. And the thing is that I didn't even know what was going on with me. I was doing research, and I really just thought I'm going to get a social media kind of break without even saying anything, just kind of taking some time for me and my kids, like, just kind of regather myself.
Yeah. I think also, like, people think, oh, I wouldn't, like, they don't think our emotions are valid. They're like, what? I didn't know you would feel that way. But it's like, we're all humans. We all have certain emotions. And, for example, I'm talking to a counselor, and they said I have, like, anxiety and some other things, and people might think, oh, it's common or anything like that. But I personally didn't think I had that. I was just like, I'm just a girl. Everybody has that. But, some people don't have anxiety. So I think it just, it's okay to have our bad weeks, but we're back and we're bossing up on y'all. Bossing up on the haters.
I feel like, me personally, before I even got into like this spiral of emotions, I started going into counseling, which is something that I used to do when I was like Kimberly's age.
Love that.
And it wasn't by choice. It was kind of more like I was forced to. So I feel like I never really gave it my all. I was kind of like, oh, I'm just going to be here and let time fly, whatever. And not until the end, I started realizing, wow, like, it was actually really helpful,
Yeah.
So now as an adult, I decided I want to take it and actually be completely sincere and actually heal those problems that I've had forever. And I think that's also a reason for my breakdown, because I was like, oh my God, these things have been bothering me for quite some time now, I feel like after speaking to my counselor for like about 2 weeks, I realized that I've had a lot of healing that I've never done. And they do say, in order to be a good parent, a good you, or a good spouse, you have to heal those traumas from your childhood. And it's crazy because I feel like, how people, like, for example, you get on a diet, and you're like, oh my God, you have to try this diet. And you're like telling everybody about it. Yeah. I kind of feel like that with counseling, because I'm like, Manny, you need counseling. Kimmy, you need counseling.
People are going to get offended, like.
Yeah, but it's not like, I'm trying to target you guys. Yeah. I just feel like we all have our own traumas.
I feel like it's necessary for everybody.
Yeah, like, we all have something we have to deal with in one way or another. And it's not going to hurt you to speak to somebody, to just hear you out, who's a different perspective,
Yeah, like somebody you don't know personally.
Exactly. For example, with Kimberly, she's young, and I feel like she doesn't have not even 10% of the traumas I have. But that's the thing, I don't want her to go into her adulthood with these traumas in the back burner, and then it just piles and piles on. I want you to be able to heal whatever is bothering you, so that you kind of close that cycle and then go into your new set of traumas. Because I feel like life, you're always going to have a different traumatic event.
When life throws you lemons.
Yeah, basically.
We're like an ad for counseling. I think even if you're not going through anything, what if you go through something in the future? It's better to be prepared, and it's just good to vent to somebody, or yap, or whatever you want to say. It's just good to, like, get your your feelings out, whether it's happy, sad, anything like that.
This is not an ad like Kimberly said. This is just us genuinely. We like to vent with you guys, and I feel like this is a spot where we're the most vulnerable and we say what we're really feeling. And at least with me, I got some feedback of people like, oh wow, you don't look like the type to be depressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? There's a type to look depressed?
She's a hot girl and a sad girl. Don't play.
You can be both. No, but it really got me thinking into, I remember a while back, Alondra had said she was depressed or had anxiety or whatever, right? Alondra Desi. And I remember she got so much hate because the next video she was like partying.
What? It just comes and goes.
And they're like, oh, how are you partying? I thought you were depressed. And I was like, oh, but
doesn't mean she's emo.
Yeah, I genuinely feel her like, you're not going to be depressed at all times.
Yeah.
It's going to come and go. And I feel like people are weird for even judging her for that, because I feel it. And especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, guys, there's like stay-at-home mom depression. There's literally all kinds of anxieties and everything. Everybody could benefit from it. And I'm not trying to ramble on this, but I do want to make a point. People are always like, why are you depressed? Like, are you going through a breakup? Like, what happened? No, I'm just a sad girl.
Sometimes it's just like your emotions don't know what to do. And also, like, it's kind of sad being in the house a lot. People might be like, oh, you're lucky to be in the house. But it's like you're seeing the same environment over and over and over. Like, this summer, I'm like, girl, it sucks being a homebody. I need to be outside.
Yeah. No, definitely. It is a little challenging. And again, I'm not saying that, oh, I'm depressed because of that. Because there's so many people who have different reasons to be sad. All I'm saying is my counseling has definitely helped me. And I feel like it could help a lot of people. Whether you're going through something or not, sometimes, like right now, you're in summer, I'm like, girl, you need somebody to talk to, because I feel like sometimes you just need to, and you're like me, for example,
and we don't like bothering friends either.
Yeah, and you're like, there's nothing wrong, but then when they start asking you questions, like, oh wow, I was really holding all that in, and that's not healthy.
Yeah, because at first, I haven't started yet, but I already like kind of talked to somebody to get my symptoms and stuff. But at first, I didn't want to take counseling. So if you don't want to take it, just like rethink it, because I was like, ew, that's cringe. Like, not cringe, but like, oh, I talked to a counselor, But I feel like, and I feel like I'm happy that you, I'm happy that you like didn't force me, because you're very like, oh, if you want to, it's fine. But you should get it. And I was like, I'm not gonna like it. And then she talked to me, and I was like, I need it. Like, I need it. The only thing I don't like is that they always assume that you're gonna harm yourself. And I'm like, no, girl, I'm just sad. And I literally told her that. I'm like, the only reason I didn't want to speak to you guys is because you always assume that I want to harm myself. And she's like, okay, so have you ever went to bed and wished you never woke up? I was like, BB, I just told you how I felt. But, okay, just give patience, guys.
That's the assessment. And that's something, too, like Kimmy said, I will never force her, like, you have to do this, Because I feel like cuando algo es forzado, you're like, nope, I'm not going to do it,
Yeah.
To me, I'm more like, look, these are the benefits of it. What's there to lose? Like, you're going to lose 30 minutes of your day, like, ooh, you know, not 30 minutes. And I feel like also because it was a person who was doing your assessment, you were kind of like, ugh. But if you don't like that, you could always speak to somebody else. It's like a friendship, You always give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out.
And you could always choose another one, which I didn't know that. I was like, oh, it's one person only.
Moral of the story, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to reach out to people and not care what they're going to think. Because at the end of the day, you need people to talk to get you out of that cycle. Let me just kind of go into it a little. Like, I have never had an episode like that in my life. And I also do have, I don't know the word for it, but the thyroid. And when I don't take my medication, I feel like I'm just an emotional wreck. But anyway, when you're in that type of zone where you just want to be alone and sad, you need somebody to take you out of it, because it's like a dark hole. Like, it's sinking. So just make sure somebody knows, like, hey, I've been feeling a little sad, like, to help you with that. Yeah,
and you've learned to communicate better. It's everything's a lesson. So, but anyways,
on a brighter note,
so I thought we were gonna go back to like the back to school, which is exciting. You're gonna be a mother to a junior, to a 7th grader, and kindergartners. How are you feeling, Queen?
So crazy. Maybe that's why I've been so like sad, because I know the twins are gonna like leave me, and I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like that's my last babies, you know. Like, I know I don't want any kids anytime soon, and I know it's gonna be just me, you know. So who knows, maybe, I mean, I know it makes me sad, but I don't, sometimes you don't know how sad it makes you. But I am like, dude,
your body's in denial.
You finish high school in 2 years.
Stop.
Like, you're gonna be a junior. Dude, junior, like, I know it's crazy, but junior was a hard time for me. That's when I had to drop out because I had nobody to babysit you. Like,
that's crazy.
It's just, I think it's a lot going on this year, you know. David's gonna be a 7th grader. Like, I feel like
1 more year and he's off to high school. I mean, 2 years.
I don't feel old, but when I look at it as an outsider, like, what the heck, you know?
Well, and you don't look old either, baby.
Like, I forget that I had you guys so young, you know. But I feel like, yes, technically I'm not old, but mentally I'm old.
Yeah, and maybe that's also like why your feelings, I mean, your emotions don't know how to, like, because you've never had like that time to be a teenager and get all your emotions out, or you've never had that time to, you know. So they're valid. Anyways,
a lot's been going on. It's not just the back to school. Which, talking about back to school and the twins going to school, I know we always get off topic, but I do want to touch on this. I don't know if it's just me and my kids' school, but since when did kindergartens force you to, like, well, not force you, but like, we're so strict on your kids going to like pre-kindergarten?
They're bugging.
Like,
baby, if we wanted to, we would have sent them to preschool. Like,
yeah, and maybe this is a Latina thing, at least with me, Kimberly, David, none of my kids have ever done preschool, like, because I just feel like kids are in school for so freaking long.
Give us a break.
I don't want to add another year to it. And yes, they do learn a lot, but they also learn a lot here at home. My daughters know how to write their name. They know the ABCs. They know their colors. They know so much. Like, I feel like that's your time as a parent to be a parent, you know? If you work, okay, then girl, go off. Send them to preschool. But yeah, anyway, so the twins are going to kindergarten, and I just feel like they keep telling me, like, oh, you have to send her to at least 2 weeks before kindergarten starts because, you know, it's going to be hard for them, and then they're going to cry, and the parents cry. And yes, that's valid. But I also feel like, let us cry. Like, what's wrong with us crying? Like, yes, I'm probably going to be crying. I'm not going to cry in front of my twins because I don't want them to, like, see me sad.
Yeah, or to, like, get attached. Like, oh, I don't want to go to school.
Yeah, so I know for a fact I wouldn't do that. And maybe that's a good program for, like, new parents who that's their first kid, you know. But the thing is, even when you went to kindergarten, I was...
Yeah, and I was your first kid, so it's like,
yeah, you were my first kid, and of course I was emotional, but, like, let them be. Like, stop. Cut the cord. Like, I'm not saying I'm not going to take care of my kids, but, like,
I think just, like, I know I'm part of, like, this new generation, but I feel like sometimes, like, kids are just oversensitive, you know? And I noticed that the twins aren't like that, you know? Like, they love us, but they're not gonna be like, oh no, mom, I'm scared to go to the restroom, you know? Like, they're not baby.
But let me tell you this, and again, this is a touchy subject, but you know me, I don't care. This comes with parenting. How you parent your kids.
Get her!
Me, I put up a bun.
Stop. People don't like buns.
They don't. Kimmy got in a fight when she had a bun. Don't come for me. No, but who cares? Come for it. No, but okay. So when I hear, like, I know it's because, you know, they're kids. Like, I'm sorry that they're being bad. They're kids. No, get your kid. They're, like, your kids are a reflection of you. For example, when I went to meet the parent-teacher night, which I did go for that, I was like, nope, my kids are not doing 2 weeks before school because they don't need it. But to meet the teacher, I did take them, and I noticed, like, a lot of the little girls were like, Mami, no quiero venir, and blah, blah. And then the moms were like, oh,
and those are the kids that are the most happiest when it starts.
And I feel like it was the parents' fault. Like, dude, if you were to tell your kid, you know what, it's a fun place. Like, look at how nice it is. Like, with me, as soon as I walked in, I was like, look, twins, that's going to be your playground. And aren't you excited? Your teacher, and I know some people are like, oh, I can fadosa, she's overly excited. Obviously, I'm not. I'm just kind of like, this is what... I'm a mom, you know, my job is to make sure my kid's not scared to go to school. And it comes with everything. Like, I see parents like, oh no, she can't hit the piñata because candy can fall on them. And what?
Baby,
like,
you're not gonna die.
You know, like, it's just things like that kind of annoy me. But yeah, it is what it is. Everybody's gonna parent their own way. I guess I just don't believe in the gentle parenting. Not that I'm mean to my kids.
Yeah, not like strict, but like a good balance.
Yeah, but I think I'm just very overly blunt with all my kids, with the twins, with you, with David. Like, you guys ask me something and I'm gonna say how it is. with the twins as well. Like, oh, mommy, I fell. Well, you shouldn't have been running.
Oh.
And then they're like, oh, that's true.
The child. Anyways.
Literally.
Okay, but let's be real. Y'all been seeing what's going around. Why is Donald Trump... Why are these two old men fighting and bickering online? Like, this is what America's in the hands of. No, ma'am.
Tell me why I'm living for it. Like, okay, I'm living for the gossip,
Mom.
but realistically, okay, we're screwed. We are. Like, we're cooked. Yes, like, whoever is in charge, like, oh, dang. But it is entertaining, you know? It is entertaining.
Yeah, it's funny.
But my thing is, like, dude, like, okay, I don't even want to touch that subject because I'm just kind of like, do we even have an option? Like, they're both crap.
Huh.
That's the way I see it right now.
I think there's, like, other people, but those are the most hyped up.
Yeah, there is other people. And I see that, what's his name? The one that resigned recently. Not Trump. I can't think of his name. Yes, Biden.
He resigned?
Thank goodness, because pobrecito parece que tiene demencia. But, like, our other option is Trump. Like, ooh, such a great upgrade.
One's anger and one's sleepy. Yeah.
No, I'm not even going to go into it, but I feel like his whole little, like, shot to the head was staged. Because I'm in that
go into it. Hello?
No, like, okay. Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of TikToks about how...
Yeah.
Supposedly the guy that they shot down, that one that, like, you know, attempted to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't even the real guy. Y que casualidad, like, dude, what are the odds that it barely, like, le rozó la oreja? Like, dude, like, that's such a slim chance. It's giving me, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Wanted. They're trained assassins, like, literally where they could curve a bullet and everything. Guys, there's literally people who are trained to do stuff like that.
John Wick.
Like, yeah, like, stuff, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, okay, where do you think these movies come from?
Yeah.
They don't come from nothing. Like, they literally are people who are, like, their whole life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it sucks de que una persona atrás de él falleció. Like, oh, dang, poor guy.
I feel bad for the guy behind because, like, ni al caso, you know? Like, he went to support and he got damaged.
But overall, guys, and this is me with my conspiracies, stuff like that, like him being shot, like that kind of stuff, I attempt to not even try to look into it.
Because you scare yourself out?
No, not just that, because I just feel like it's so toxic. Like, it's all, like, negative stuff. Like, I don't even watch the news. Because when you turn on the news, no hay nada bueno. Like, they're never like, oh, guess what? You know, like, it's always like...
It's always negative.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, I feel like, just how they say how, like, there has to be a cure for cancer.
Yeah.
Siento que este estrés que nos dan and all of this stuff that they're feeding us is, like, all, like, toxic, like, for your brain. Like, our brain is consuming all of this stuff, and it's not good stuff, you know?
I'd validate your conspiracy, but I think maybe they hit his ear, like, to scare him. Like, oh, if you go for president, we're gonna, you know, because yes, if they're trained and all that, they would, you know, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like they want to scare him off. Because when have you ever, besides I think John F. Kennedy, I don't know, I don't want to get on to that, but when have you seen a president get shot? You know, I feel like it's very protective, and I think it was somebody from, like, his team that did it, and that's why they can't find the right guy.
That's why I don't think it's real, you know? Like how you're saying, like, it's just too staged for me.
So, back to my week. I got a job! Love that!
How exciting. Not us going into the whole Trump situation and not addressing the highlight of the week. It's not just a job. Yeah. Because you've had a job.
Yeah, I have actual jobs. I don't want to say it because we've had a stalker situation. But it's super exciting. It's something, like, I could take as a full career. It's not the career I'm trying to take, but I feel like from my whole high school year and maybe a little bit more.
So to elaborate on that, like, she doesn't want to say the name of it, but I do want to touch on, you've worked before, Queenie. Like, you're only 15 and you've had a job before.
Well, I can't say my job prior to the one I have now. Sabor a mí, it was mostly, it's like a catering place. I was 14 when I got this job. I would, like, call out the orders and, like, put the salsa and stuff. it was really not that big of a job, but it was really nice of them just giving me a job.
Yeah.
Because 14 is like a pretty immature age. But obviously I was,
And no, she was doing really good because yo sí soy bien estricta when it comes like, girl, if you want to work, show up, do your work, no andes de floja, you know? And they would always tell me que sí, that she would hustle. Like, that's what they would always, oh, she hustles.
Yeah, I really wanted to work and like make my own money.
Yeah, and what I do want to elaborate on is this is not just un trabajito, like it's not in the kitchen, you're not doing any fast food,
it's not a store,
it's like actually she's getting certified for this, and it's so exciting, and I wish we could share more.
I have to do training and what's it called, orientation,
like it's giving boss up on them.
So I got the interview and everything. I was low-key like, I mean, this is my second job I've had an interview for. This is like, I've never had an interview. Never mind.
Yeah.
Last time I just got hired. So I was like, I take rejection bad. I was like, me rejection? No. I'm just kidding. No, but I was like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. You know, I obviously wanted it, but it's like not something I need. It's just something I really want. And I mean, I felt like my interview was really good. The only thing I was like, bruh, is she was like, what is 3 characteristics of yourself? And I'm like, oh, I'm unique, funny, like nada
just
que ver,
super cocky.
Yeah, nada que ver con hardworking or
and guys, I told her, I was like, okay, cuando te pregunten like, oh, what are your, you know, what is the strengths? I was like, diles, I can stand for long periods, you know, like I'm
unique,
responsible. Kimmy's like, I'm iconic.
Imagine I missed that one.
No, okay, but this goes to show you.
But I still got hired.
You sure did. And it goes to show you, you really are what you radiate, what you feel. Because I'm going to be honest.
Just be very smiling.
Honest here. Kimmy was like, Mom, I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm still young. Because, again, it's like a very, like, you know, they check out tu crédito and everything. She's like, I don't think I'm going to get it. And I was like, you're not going to get it with that attitude. You have to go in there, like, why should I even want to work for you?
Well, not
you know
cocky,
what I mean?
but like,
no, not cocky, but like,
you know,
what are you bringing into the table?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And if you feel like, if you're going like, pues no sé, like, why would they hire you over somebody who's like, you know what, no sé nada, but I'm willing to learn y voy a hacer lo que tú me digas? Like, you know?
Yeah.
That type of mentality.
No, she was even asking me questions like, are you up for it? And I'm like, yeah, I'm up for it. Like, you know, everything's coachable. Like, you obviously we weren't born to speak, but we learned to speak. So.
Now you taking my quote. Like, kids are not born walking. We have to be taught. You have to be taught to do everything in this life. Nobody's gonna say like, oh, I was just born to supermodel. No, like even supermodels have to be taught to supermodel, you know? So how is she gonna have this experience when she's never worked? And I feel like with this really amazing job, she's gonna be able to go into any freaking job when you're 18. You know, you're going to be able to do whatever. I really wish that we could kind of share more with you guys. It's not that we're, like, gatekeeping. It's just, it's crazy, like, that she brought that up about the whole stalker. And we haven't said anything because it is a weird situation, but it sucks that, how can I even explain it? Like, for example, we've been doing this. We've been sharing our lives for quite some time, you know? And now that the twins, for example, they love to record. They love to, like, be on camera. I feel like I'm so limited on what I can do, and that's also a reason why we kind of like step back on YouTube, on our stories, on sharing in real time, because people are so weird. So I'm gonna give you guys a tea on what happened with our stalker situation, and it kind of like led into several little situations.
Well, we've had multiple actually.
Yeah,
it's a scary experience,
but I feel like we've had multiple, and we're the type of people that get, no, like, let's not think bad, you know?
Let's go to church.
Yeah, like, no, like, you know, but the thing is, like, even if you're good, it doesn't mean everybody's like you know? The only reason I'm bringing it up now is because it's been over a year. If not, I was advised to not say anything. For those of you who don't know, I, years ago, was a manager for T-Mobile. So I have a lot of experience on that, right? And for a while, because I was here at home, I was kind of like, you know, I was doing social media, but I was like, let me go back into what I like, you know, to get out of the routine, get myself a little part-time job. So I didn't go back to T-Mobile, but I went into AT&T, and I was like, you know what? I've been a boss for so long. Let me just go back into being a regular representative. Long story short, no duré nada y me volvieron a hacer bump up to manager, assistant manager. long story short, Kimmy was at school one day. So my schedule was like, I would drop her out at school, go to work, and then pick them up. Like, I would get out early enough to pick them up, right? And I had only been working like maybe 3 months because I had just started working again para salir de la casa, you know? And during this time, I would have like certain people come into the store, and like, I did have an incident before this incident happened. It was so weird because I thought maybe I just haven't worked for a while and, you know, people are goofy or whatever now, you know? So I had this old man. He was like 60 something, I don't know. And he came in and I was helping him, and he was like, oh, wow, they have you very protected here, huh? They have 9 cameras on you.
What does he mean?
And the thing is, like, I'm very much like, haha, yeah. Like, when I'm awkward, I'm just like, I kind of like brushed it off. And then I would realize, like, who sits there and goes to a store and counts the cameras?
Yeah.
And not until after he left, I was like counting them. I'm like, dude, si son exactamente 9.
Yeah,
you know?
I thought he was dumber than that.
No, like, the thing is, I worked there and I never counted the cameras. And this guy came once and counted the cameras.
He like observed the room.
Exactly. So that day, again, I like to see the good in people. And he was like, oh, it was like before 4th of July. This incident happened the day before 4th of July or whatever.
Last year?
Yeah.
No.
So, like I said, over a year ago.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, you have kids, right? And again, I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, maybe he's seen my phone that I have my lock screen. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, oh, I sell fireworks. You're such a good person. I want to give you some. And I was like, oh.
You barely talked to him.
Exactly. But I was like, oh, you know, period. I'm a good person. Whatever. So, he's like, yeah, I want to give you some. And I was like, no, it's okay because I have little kids. And he's like, I'm going to give you some sparklers for your kids, your little kids. And I was like, okay.
Oh, I think I remember.
Yeah. And then he was like, oh, come outside. I'm going to give you the sparklers. And it was just me, guys, because I was opening the store. So it was just me at the store. And I kind of like, como que en ese momento I was kind of like, should I come out or not? You know? And this is how I always tell you guys, trust your gut feeling. But anyway, I went outside because right next door to us había otro negocio, and the other negocio, they were outside.
Oh, okay.
So if anything, I'd be like, si me pasa cualquier cosa, there's 3 guys outside, you know, and they know me, you know? So I was like, alright, I'm gonna do it. So I went outside, and he was parked right in front of my store, and he was like, oh, come so you could take a look at them, you know, in his car. And I was like, nah, I ain't doing all that. So I was like, no, it's okay. I'll take whatever you want to give me, you know. And then he gives me like a big pack of like sparklers, right? Quote unquote sparklers. I come home and I was like, oh my God, Manny, like, yeah, like, you know, se fue. Oh, no, but I'm not even telling you guys the whole details. Like, the whole time he was an old, like, chunky guy, and he was like, yeah, I make a lot of money with this sparklers, like, and he was showing me stacks of money, and I was like, oh, that's cool. He probably wanted to be
your sugar daddy.
Yeah, well, not until I explained this to Manny. Like, siento que en veces me pendejo, you know, and he that's when
because of the age. You're like, oh, he's a nice old man.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's dope. You make good money. Good for you. But yeah, he told me that, like, you know, like he was trying to flex his money. And I was like, that's cool that it's going great, you know, like.
Then buy a phone.
Like, I didn't think anything of it, you know, like, no me asombró. I was like, whatever, this old man's making bank, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, pues I didn't think anything about it. He left. I came home and I was like, Manny, look, I got some sparklers for the twins. Manny's like, oh, that's dope. Let's light one up right now so you can see it. So Manny lit it up, and that thing, like, blew up. And Manny had to throw it, and it's like those ones that, like, blow up big. So Manny's like, what the heck? These are not sparklers.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, why would he tell you that they're sparklers? If he sells them, he should know what he's selling. And I was kind of like, I don't know. Because, like, Dios guarde, lo hubiera dado a las niñas. Se le
probably wanted you to give them to.
I don't know. I didn't want to think negative, but I was kind of like, Like, it was in the back of my head, you know? Anyway, then the next day, like, it's like 3 days repeatedly, you know? The next day entró otro customer, but like he was on the phone the whole time, like talking to somebody. Like, I was helping him y no dejaba hablar en el teléfono. Anyway, like, he was kind of weird. Like, he was like mumbling. I couldn't hear him. And then before he left, he's like, hey, do you mind if I touch your hair?
Boy, no.
And in that moment, I was like,
what if you have piojos?
I didn't, like, I would have been like, okay, because I get awkward.
Yeah.
But I was like, no.
Yeah,
and
you get like bad attention.
Yeah, and he was like, no, you don't mind. I'm like, don't touch me. Like, I was like, that's so weird. Mind you, we didn't even have a good conversation for him to like want to touch my hair, you know?
Y'all just met.
Yeah, and this guy was like a Hispanic dude. or whatever, you know?
That's
like a Mexican guy. Anyway, so the third day, this is when it got weird, and now
3 days in the same.
Yeah, so first it was the chunky guy, the white guy, which he was a chunky white guy who gave me the fireworks, and the guy who was on the phone, like literally for like an hour, and he was like, "Can I touch your hair?" I was like, "No," but anyway, so then the third day, and mind you, these I'm giving you guys these, ¿cómo se dice? These unnecessary stories because they add up.
Oh yeah.
The third day I'm working, and then this day I'm not working alone, right?
They would have you work alone
in the morning. Sometimes I would like open because I was in charge of the store.
Oh, Queenie.
So anyway, then the next day I'm like explaining it to the main boss, the manager. I'm like, okay, so yeah, I've had some weird incidents, blah 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 blah. So I'm kind of explaining this to him, right? And I'm like, I don't know how to feel about it, and he's like, you need to be more safe, blah blah blah. As we're speaking, I get a call in my phone at work. Mind you, there's no customers in the store. It's just me and the boss. And he's like, go ahead, answer it, you know, because there's nobody in there. So I answer it, and guys, okay, let me give you some context. Before you guys come for me, I have heard of this happen on TikTok. I've heard of it on social media. But this is one of those things that you don't expect to happen to you. You know, it's kind of like you know it, but then when it happens, you're like, wait, what the heck, you know? So
you're just shocked.
I answer the phone, and it's Kimmy. She's screaming. She's like, Mom! And I'm like instantly, guys, I'm not kidding. Like, my heart dropped. Like, I didn't have time to think, you know? And I'm like, what's wrong? And you're like, Mom, please help me. Please, I'm so sorry, Mom, help me. But, like, una voz como que just so much pain, you know, like when you, like, if you have just got hurt, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what the heck? In my head, I'm like, okay, Kimmy's at school. Did she ditch? Like, what's going on? But I'm not even like it's in my head, but I'm not even questioning it, because at the end of the day, if my daughter's in need, I'm gonna be there for her, you know. So I'm like, what happened, Kimmy? What happened? And you're like, I'm sorry, and I'm like, you know, I'm overthinking it. So then somebody gets the phone from Kimmy, and they're like, hey, your daughter's in really tough shape. And
tough shape.
Again, guys, like, I feel like instead of me feeling better, like, as the conversation progressed, I just was getting worse and worse and worse, because he was like, your daughter's in really tough shape.
Yeah, because you're like imagining.
Yeah, he's like, she wasn't even able to call you. I asked her if she needed help, and she told me to call you. What do you want to do? And I'm like, where is she? Like, how can I get to her? What happened? And I think from what he made it seem like you got injured by a car, like a car hit you or something, you know? I couldn't even, you know, cuando estás tan like la adrenalina, yeah, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, give me her address. So this is where it was kind of like weird, but again, I'm first of all really dumb with addresses. Like, to me, you have to tell me like, oh girl, I live by the dumpster, and you know, that's how I get to places, unless I have GPS. So this guy told me an address. Well, he told me cross streets, right? And based off of these cross streets, which I don't want to give details, it was up the street from where I worked. Like,
that's a red flag.
Like, literally, pero again, yo no sabía.
Yeah.
So, like, hace cuenta si yo trabajo in, I'm going to say random, on 7th Street, right? You were on 8th Street.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Like, what was I even doing out there?
So, that's the thing I didn't think of, because I'm bad with addresses.
I'm like, what's her phone name and her social security number?
So, no, like, when he said that, I was like, okay, can you give me it again so I can write it down? Because I was, like, shaking, right?
Aww.
So when I wrote it down, my boss was like, wait, hold on, what?
Oh, he was on speaker?
Yeah, no, he wasn't on speaker, but he seen me write down the address, and he's like, what the heck? And he was, like, whispering to me, that's, like, right up the street. And that's when it clicked in my head. I was like, wait, what the heck? Kimmy doesn't go to school right up the street from me. How did she get there? So then I was kind of, like, questioning it a little bit. And he's like, ma'am, I can't be here much longer. Do you want to talk to your daughter again? And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like, okay. And then Kimmy's like, Mom, are you coming? Mom, please come. So I feel like, como que cuando I started getting doubts, he reassured me that it was you.
Oh my gosh.
And the thing is, guys, just thinking about it, me da adrenalina nuevamente, because it was like, I promise you guys, it was Kimmy's voice. So anyway, I'm like freaking out, and I'm like, I'm on my way. I tell my boss, I was like, dude, I have to leave. I don't care what's happening. I'm leaving. And it was just me and him working, right? I think they were watching me long enough, and I'll explain why I think all this stuff later, right? My theories. That they knew it was just me and him. Because they knew that if that would have happened to you and I was alone at the store, there's no way that I would have been able to leave because I can't leave my store alone. I would have probably called an ambulance or I would have called my husband, but I wouldn't have been able to go.
Well, thank God it happened the day it happened.
Yeah, so, no. So, the thing is, when I got that call, my boss had just showed up like 30 minutes prior. So, it's like they were watching, waiting for somebody to show up. So, anyway, here's the reason why I think they were watching me. I don't think they were esperando for him to say what he was going to say. Because he was like, no, you're not going alone. You're not able to drive like this. Because I was freaking, like, guys, I was having a panic attack.
Like, what if you get her instead of...
Yeah, like, I was, like, no podía, like, I was, like, llorando, but, like, just a
fear.
Yeah. And he was like, no, you can't drive like that. And I was like, what are you going to do? You can't close the store. He's like, screw the store. Your daughter's in danger. We're closing the store.
Imagine it was just a high ticket phones.
Yeah, so he locked up he locked up everything.
Oh, that's good,
and
that's good.
We were walking out, and I had my keys. He's like, no, I'm not driving your car. Get in my car. I know how to drive. I'm going to speed you there. So I'm like, say less, right? But as I was walking out, because after he gave me the address, I put the phone on speaker para que escuchara mi manager how to get there, right? As soon as I walk out of the store, right, I have my phone in my hand, and the guy tells me, take your phone off speaker.
Oh my, chills.
And
how does he know?
I promise you, when he said that, I looked both ways.
What if he's in your trunk?
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, how did he know he was on speaker? And maybe he's like, oh, you could hear it? No, like, no me dijo to take the phone off speaker until the moment I walked out the doors.
That's scary.
Like, if he was watching me. So then I was freaking out, and I was like, kind of like, I didn't say anything, but I looked at my boss like, what do I do? Like, should I take it off a speaker? And he looked at me and he said, no, like, don't take it off a speaker. So then I told this guy, I was like, I'm so sorry, it's because my phone's broken and it doesn't work. Like, the speaker doesn't work si lo quito the speaker. It has to be on speaker. Because a lot of the times I worked with phones. I know that happens. And the moment I say that, mind you, this whole time he's talking to me in English, right? He asks me, do you speak Spanish? And I'm like, yeah.
How does he know that? I feel like it was a question he already knows the answer to.
Okay, yes. But the thing is, okay, the whole time they're speaking to me in English, right? Like, very professional. Like, I'm just here to help your daughter vibes. And the moment I say, yeah, I do speak Spanish, another person gets on the phone. And I know it's not just him speaking Spanish. Like, no, this is a Latino. He's speaking good Spanish. And he's like, mira, lo tratamos de hacer por las buenas y no estás haciendo caso. Si tú no llegas aquí sola, nunca vas a volver a ver a tu hija.
Oh my God.
So for those of you who don't understand me, he basically said, look, we try to do this the nice way, but if you don't come alone, you're never seeing your daughter again. And I don't know, like,
I would have gotten a panic attack. You have asthma.
I did. Like, guys, you don't understand. When he told me that, like, I don't know why I get anxiety just even remembering those words. Because he didn't just tell me así calmly. No, he was like, if you don't freaking come alone, like, you're never, and mind you, in my head, Kimmy's still there. You know what I mean? Like, because in my head, I haven't calculated enough to think that it's not her. Like, I'm just freaking out, and I'm like, you know what, who cares? I'm gonna go. I don't care, right? But it's still on speaker, so my manager hears this. And then he's like, and if you hang up and call the police, you'll never hear from her again. Like, this is the last. Basically, they're gonna unalive you in that moment.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't even.
What did I do?
Like, I don't even have a reaction. Like, how can I explain it? Like, I just start bawling, like, just tears, and I'm just like my asthma, my anxiety, everything started kicking in, and I was like literally, I couldn't move. I was like hyperventilating, and my freaking boss grabs my phone out of my hand and hangs up. And I'm
why did he hang up?
Exact. That was my exact reaction. God. I was like, why would you do that? My daughter. Like, I was like going crazy, right? And I'm not even thinking straight that he grabs my phone, and I don't even know if he used Siri. I don't even remember because I feel like I blacked out. But he got my phone and called Manny. Mind you, he's never talked to my husband in my life, but he knew. He's like, this girl's tripping. She needs her husband. Oh my gosh. And he's like, hey man, you're like, he tries to explain what's going on, and he's like, I need you to come here now. And mind you, he takes me back to the store, and I'm like freaking out, like, my daughter, I'm never gonna talk to her again. Mind you guys, I didn't explain this. When I was on speaker with him, I was texting Kimmy, please confirm you're okay. Kimmy, text me that you're okay. And she was in class, so she wasn't texting me. So that's why I was like, so like, it's my daughter, you know? So of course, as you know, it was pretty obvious it wasn't Kimmy. And I didn't realize that until like an hour later, because Manny called the school and they're like, yeah, she's in class, she's good.
AI is so scary now.
And when I found out that she was good, I wasn't even overthinking. My boss called the police and we explained what happened. And the police officer told me that where I was working at the time is like the prime area for human trafficking in Arizona.
No way.
Yeah. So I was like, but in my head I was like, but they didn't even want my daughter. Like, my daughter's in school. And they're like, you're not understanding. They didn't want your daughter. They wanted you.
They wanted you to go.
And they wanted me to go alone. And the thing is, if my boss wouldn't have taken that initiative to tell me I'm coming with you, I would have gone alone, Kimberly.
Because not every boss is going to say that.
Yeah. I don't think they were expecting that. But okay, the reason why I even mentioned the whole story of the other two guys, the first guy who called me spoke English, the blonde guy. And then the Mexican guy, I recognized his voice. It was the voice. Like, it was a Hispanic, like, super Hispanic voice. And I didn't think of it until, like, days after, right? But, like, the guy who wanted to touch my hair.
You're lying.
Yes.
Oh, my God. You're like, yes.
No, I'm not lying.
Oh, my
No, like, I was, yes. The thing is, when the guy wanted to touch my hair, went into the store, he was on the phone the whole time. To who?
To the other guy.
Exactly.
You need a novela. Oh my gosh.
It was just like, I feel like, how can I explain it? These things don't just happen like, oh, why would they choose you? No, I feel like como que ya me estaban mirando for like days, you know, like they had their eye on me for a long time. And I went into like, yeah, like it was over. Gracias a Dios, my daughter was okay, you know, she was good. But I feel like to me, it didn't end there. Like, I felt like
that gives you PTSD. Like, you never know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, and I felt like so uneasy. Like how these guys followed me home. Like, my kids go to school. Are they following my kids? Like, my house, thankfully, is full of cameras. Like, literally, and I know people think I'm paranoid because there's not a corner in my house that doesn't have cameras. But it's not that.
And we have our Alexa full.
Yeah, you know, and Alexa is like, motion detected at your front door, and it'll show me the front door, the side door, like, and I don't care if people get annoyed. Like, I'm sorry about it. Like, it really is how I cope and how I protect my family.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly. But I just feel like when I called to do the whole police report and everything, I did find it a little weird how they told me, make sure you don't speak on this. Like, that's
why would the police say that?
I don't know.
Maybe it's still ongoing?
I don't know, like, if it is ongoing, but my thing is, like...
Oops, we spoke about it.
I spoke to an investigator and everything, and they were kind of like, don't bring it onto social media. So my thing, I'm like, how do they know, like, I do social media? And yeah, I get it. A lot of people do social media, but, like, why don't they want me to speak about it on social media?
That's just such a random thing for a police officer to say.
Yeah, and that's true. But me, out of fear... As in, like, what if I speak something and then, like, Dios guarde, like, they stop helping me? I didn't say anything. But I feel like, screw it. I'm gonna say something now because, like, I feel like if you notice, I haven't heard any of these situations anymore on social media. Like, I haven't heard, like, these AI voices and blah, blah, blah happening. And it's probably because of that. Because people are being silenced.
What the heck?
And, okay... I was told, even then, I was kind of like, I don't want to post my kids anymore on social media. Like, I was going through it, guys. But then I stopped and think, okay, and I've mentioned it on other episodes.
Yeah. We've been posting our whole life.
Yeah, like, everything's out there, you know? Like, it would take me forever. Like, de que ya tienen las voces, ya las tienen. They probably already recorded it.
So, and we've done pranks where, like, I'm crying and stuff. But now we're more aware and we have other resources, so.
And I feel like I'm using this for you guys to, like, think smart and do what we've planned as a family. I don't care if Kimmy, Dios guarde, pero le pasa cualquier cosa. I'm not answering unless she tells me the family password. If you don't mention me the family password, I'm hanging up. I'm sorry, you forgot it.
Like, I'm like literally iconic.
No, but you guys really should do that because it's not like I'm not making this up.
Yeah,
like
get 360, baby, get all that because
and people are like, oh, you're so toxic. You have your kids on 360. You have your no, like I don't care. I have 360 for myself because uno nunca sabe. After this, I was like not going back to work. I literally quit my job because I was like, I'm gonna put me and my family first.
Yeah,
like
I gotta put me first. That
like I mean, I feel like I didn't really need the job to begin with. It was more like to get out of the house,
just for machine orders.
But you know what I mean. It was more like no, like I'm the type like ya cuando I see a little red flag, I'm out. He's like no voy a esperar a la siguiente. But anyway, so that happened, and then like weeks later, I was like very like precavida, you know, super like on edge for everything. But then one time I was picking up David from school. Do you remember that incident?
I remember.
Yeah.
I think I missed my alarm, so you were also taking me.
Yeah.
And we heard motion detected, but like we don't see anything because the neighbors always park in that in like that area. And we seen like I think it was a black car. No, a black car.
I think it was a black car.
It was like a little black car, and I was like, "Mom, it's a Kia Cube." And I felt like it looks like the car is not gonna do anything. I'm not saying the story right, but she had told me like, "Oh, do you see there? There's a guy that's just like I feel somebody staring."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, nobody's staring. Like it's 7 a.m. Nobody's gonna be out here staring." And it was a guy in a freaking ski mask, like all the way, like Peso Pluma vibes. I was like, and like, was he just like? We turned around and he was still staring at us.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Okay, and I see why Kimmy didn't believe me because I, again, have been paranoid. I've been on edge. But you know, like, when you feel somebody staring at you, that, like, strong feeling, I felt that y volteé, and all I seen was the eyes, and literally, like she said, a Peso Pluma ski mask, but I want to elaborate. We live in Arizona. It's 100 and something degrees. That is not the norm here.
In your car? Like, bro, you can't even see driving. Hello? Like, all you can see is your eyes, but, like, that has to be bothering you.
And, you know, estaba parqueado. His car was parked on the side. Like, literally where my car is parked, he was parked right there.
And didn't you say he had something in his car? Like, you seen, like, a bat or something?
So, the thing is, when I seen him, Kimmy turned around, and then she seen him, and then we looked again, and he wasn't there. But the thing is, it wasn't that he wasn't there. Remember, like he inclined his seat so that he could lay down, so we couldn't see him. And guys, at that point, we were in the car, and I was like, "What do I do? Like, do we get out of the car? He could attack us." I'm like, "Nope, we're leaving." So I turned on the vehicle, and like. I drove, and I know this is crazy, but I was like, oh, well, si nos va a hacer algo, like, I'm gonna make sure I get evidence of who it was.
Period.
So I drove towards him, and I
don't remember, Queen.
I drove towards him, and I made sure I passed him, and I took pictures of his license plate.
Period.
And I know he's seen me, because the moment I did
He's like, I don't play with this girl.
You know, the moment I did that, he dipped. But I called the police ASAP, and I made sure I told him, I was like, I'm being watched. I have this guy's license plate. He's in a ski mask. I do not feel safe to come home. I need an officer now. And they were like, we're on it. They're like, oh, girl, you got you got the license plate. And I told them, like, I've been stopped before. I'm ready.
Yep.
And they were like, yeah, don't go back home. We're gonna send officers there. We're gonna check out the area. Y luego, like,
so he even like went inside the house, checked under the beds and stuff.
This officer, like, no, you know, más llegó, no llegaron, and then they were like, oh, what does he look like? I'm like, girl, he has a freaking ski mask. Like, what do you want me to explain it?
We just need eyes.
Yeah, like, thankfully, I did have the license plate, and guys, I think they got the guy, because they told me, like, don't come back home until you're instructed to go back home. So they told me when they were back home, and they're like, okay, can you unlock the house for us? They had officers come and check out my whole house. But why? Why would they check it out? So, like, you know what I mean? Like, usually, like, oh, okay, you're all good.
And they never, like, they said they were going to call you back if they needed more information. They didn't need more information. So they definitely got him.
They did get him.
And we saved other people's lives. You're welcome.
Okay, guys, I know it sounds like we're crazy, but I swear this is real. And I'm gonna have
we wouldn't be able to make up these stories off the bat. Like,
no, like, guys, okay.
We have another one.
Yes, I know you know what I'm thinking.
This one, oh my god.
Let me just say,
is the top one.
We moved because of this story. So for you guys to say, oh, it's just where you live. No, girl, like,
It follows us.
Weird people are weird people.
Yeah.
Donde sea. This is how you know.
Get your snacks ready.
This is a good one. Well, they're like, it gets worse. But no, guys, like, for real. Okay, so I know that we have been being watched for some time because
it was like last year.
Like last year,
yeah.
Girl. I never go out anywhere without taking my kids somewhere or getting a nanny or something, right? This time, we had an event, and I'm going to say what event because it doesn't matter anymore. So I went on like a little like beauty class event. So if you guys know, if you go look through our YouTube channel, you'll see when it was. So I went to a dinner. I was just going to go sign some paperwork for that makeup class. And it was going to be like an hour. So I was like, you know what? I está la Kimmy, está David. My mom's literally in the same block.
Well, thankfully, Grandma was right next door.
Yeah.
So.
And my mom, we used to live literally in la misma calle de mi mom. Like, the same.
Like, it's us and then another house and then her.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, ahí está.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, my mom's there. Les está echando por los niños, whatever, you know? So we left, and it was only going to be for a couple hours. So I left them. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, I didn't break any rules because I have a whole grown teen here. Mm-hmm. And I had my mom literally right there. So, like, no la pensé
and
mucho.
we had phones.
Y tenemos
like,
cámaras. Mm-hmm. So, we don't have, we didn't used to have as many as we do now, but we did have, like, the Ring doorbell and stuff, you know? Anyway, so then I'm at dinner, and I'm getting a phone call from Kimmy.
And I never call her, guys. Like, because I'm like, you know what? Let them have fun. Like, I don't want to be like, Mom, David says, you know?
Como que la ignoré, I brushed it off. Because this is before my incident, the stalker incident. Mm-hmm. I didn't think anything about it.
Yeah, this was our first experience ever.
Yeah, this is our first experience. And I gave the phone to Manny. I was like, girl, you're tripping. I gave the phone to Manny.
So, let me give you guys a backstory. They left, and it was like, you know, it wasn't just as soon as they left. This man planned it out. So, we're sitting, we're watching TV, we're on the couch. It's me, David, and the twins, like, all on the couch watching TV. But David's sleeping and one of the twins. So, it's just me and another twin. So, I was like, I gotta be the big kid. And then, all I see is a shadow approaching. And mind you, my grandma lives so close to us. I was like, okay, maybe it's my grandma. But I'm not gonna open the door without her calling or anything. Mm-hmm. I was like, she would have called. She would have messaged. You would have called a message like grandma's on her way. So like, I'm not gonna open it. But then I was like, wait, it's a man. And I was like, maybe it's my tata. Because it's like the same height, Hispanic, you know. And I was like, that's not him. So the door is like a glass. Like, not glass. It's like obviously some wood. But you know those circle ones that kind of look like a mirror?
Like the fancy door.
Yeah, but it's kind of see-through, kind of not. It's kind of blurred see-through. But I could see the shape and that it was a man. And this man was shirtless. And
you were able to tell through the door?
Yes, I could tell. It's like, how do I explain it? Like if you needed glasses. You know how you could see, but it's kind of blurred like that?
You could peek if you really want to peek, like your eye through it. Yeah. But you have to be like peeking through it.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to get close to it.
So I'm sure he was able to see in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure, but like he wasn't scooting in. That's the thing. Oh. I was like, maybe he didn't want me to see his full features. Like I just could tell it was a guy. And I was
also, he wasn't close enough for the camera.
Exactly. The camera didn't pick it up. Thank God we got more now. Mm-hmm. But I was like, okay, maybe it's like, mind you, it was like 8. I was like, maybe it's a Prime package. And I'm like, wait, Prime packages usually don't come this fast. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just pretend I don't see him. I'm like, pretend you don't see him, he's going to go away. Like, he's going to think my parents are here. So I'm watching the TV, 5 minutes pass by. 10 minutes pass by. 20 minutes pass by. I'm like, bruh. I'm like, David. And he's not waking up. I'm like, I can't do this. And I'm like, what do I do?
And then David wakes up like,
yes. And like, if I wake him up, he's gonna cry. And I don't want the twins to know what's going on, you know? So like, frick, I'm gonna have to call my mom.
That's tough for you, because I would have been
literally like, I called my mom and I went to go get a knife. I was like, things about to go down. Like, when I tell you, I was fearing for my life. Like, it was horrible. I'm sorry, guys. I'm such a bad storyteller. But me and David fell asleep. I don't know how he fell asleep, but we had heard like something at our window at first. This guy was traveling
before the door.
Yeah, before the door.
And this was the back window.
Yeah, you could see him. And I was like, oh, maybe like he knows. I think me and David were like, Mom, Dad, like so he knows somebody's there. And he left, and we didn't see anything. We're like, oh, okay, it's fine. Nothing happened.
So he had already seen him.
Yes, he had seen us already. And I think that's why he came back. Like, these kids are still up watching TV. So I call my mom, and she's kind of just brushing it off because I'm whispering. I don't know why. The TV was at full blast. I was just like, he's going to hear me. And I call you. I don't know if you remember. And I was like, Mom, there's somebody at the door. Like, it's not grandma. I thought that. I don't know who it is. Maybe did you send somebody to watch us? And you're like, what? Kimmy, there's nobody. Just lock the doors and don't open it, okay? I'm like, no, I didn't open it, but
when the guy was watching them through the back door, that's when she
Yeah.
called me. She's like, Mom, I see somebody in the back. But our back is connected to the neighbor's house, so I was kind of like, hey, girl, like, it's just a neighbor, you know?
anyways, and you were like, okay, just I'm gonna give you to dad, okay? And I was like, okay, queenie.
When in doubt, give the phone to your husband.
For real. And so he kind of reassures me. He's like, what? He kind of says the same thing, but he's like, okay, so where's the twins? Where's David? I'm like, well, they're all asleep. I think one of the other twins fell asleep. Like, she falls asleep to like weirdos at the door, but. And he was like, okay, well, wake them up and you guys are going to go to the restroom. And I was like right there. I was like, why? Like, why aren't y'all coming home? He's like, we're going to be on our way. We'll be there like in 30 minutes. I was like, 30 minutes? I was like freaking out. It wasn't that late, but like.
Okay, to elaborate on that, one, I had no idea what was going on in the conversation. I was still taking shots in the background. And then two, we were in Mesa, so it is like 30 minutes. So even if we wanted to get like assy, you know, it was gonna take us a ride.
So we're in the restroom, we're waiting, and I'm like getting impatient because he's like, oh, hold on, it's because I want to calm down your mom. Like, because I guess you're starting to finally grab the grasp of it. He's like, I'm on my way. And I was like, well, I don't want to keep calling him when he's driving because you never know what's going to happen. So I'm just waiting there. And mind you, like, I had to wake them up. David already knows what's happening. The twins sadly have to know what's happening.
How did you wake them up?
I was like, well, I woke up David. Like, David, wake up. David. And I told him the whole story. Like, there's a guy at the door. He's not leaving.
Did David freak out? Like,
yeah, he's like, you know how he wakes up upstairs like, wow. And I was like, David, get up. And he's like, I'm like, shh. He's like, Kimmy, let me sleep all loud. I'm like, David. And he's like, what? And I was like, there's somebody at the door. Look. And he see for himself.
Yeah.
He's like, did you call mom and dad? I'm like, yeah, I called mom and dad. And I was like, you grab one twin and I grab one twin. And we grabbed one of the twins. They were still sleeping on the way to the restroom. My bad. And me and David are bawling our eyes out in the toilet. And you know what's
so you started crying?
Yes, we both started crying. And the twins wake up and they're like, what's going on?
And they see you guys crying.
Yeah, they see us crying. And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, it's nothing. Mommy and Papi are coming right now, okay? It's just me and David are a little scared. We didn't say what exactly when. Like, why? And they start getting scared. And I think I call you again, like, Dad, the twins are scared, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. While this is going on, I kind of see that Manny's telling the kids, like, go to the restroom. Whatever you do, don't open the door. Okay, because look, we had a gate. So we had 3 cameras. We had one on each door, the front door, the back door, and then we had like a gate. Yeah. So we had one facing towards the outside. So when you said somebody was outside, I was thinking like outside of the gate. Yeah. And in my head, I was like, girl, just don't open the door. You know, like I thought it was like the gate. Never did I think that he went inside our property. It was literally on our front door because in order for you to be in our front door, you have to like walk into like the gate. So when Dad was here telling me like, oh, make sure you're in the restroom, I'm like, what the heck? Why do you have the kids in the restroom? And he's like,
finally starting
and he's like, because there's somebody at the front door.
And like he did something to the cameras because we weren't able to see.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I was trying to pull up the camera footage y no me salía. I was like, what the heck? Like, whatever, you know, because I didn't get the back door, I didn't get the front one, I didn't get any, and so I
never knocked.
I didn't think anything about it. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like he didn't
want his like fingerprints or something.
Oh my God. She told me I seen somebody in the back door. I was like, girl, it's nothing.
Yeah,
you never told me he made it in the gate in our front door.
No. Well, because like for me, I thought it was obvious. But, like I guess thinking about it now, I'm like, okay.
So that's why I wasn't concerned.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I also didn't explain like our house scenario. We also have a dog. So I was like freaking out. Like, what if this guy has a weapon? What if he's like, I have your dog? Like, I was just freaking out. And he was over here cuddling up with our dog's blanket. Like, he had it around his shirtless self. And I was like, where's Dixie? And she wasn't barking.
And Dixie's a tiny dog. Like, guys, we have like the smallest little dog.
You know she was terrified when she wasn't barking, BB.
When I heard Dad say, don't get out of the restroom, keep the twins in there, like instantly, like I sobered up. I was like, what is going on? What do you mean?
You're like a flip of a switch.
Yeah, like literally. And then he's like, I didn't want to worry you, but I guess there's a guy who went inside our gate. He's in our front door.
That's why he wasn't telling you the full details.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
But that's probably why, because
of how this is also the first time we had met these people. We were signing the contract for the beauty event. So I think he was kind of like, I'm not trying to kill the vibe.
Yeah.
Mind you, this is our first time. He's like, what the heck's going on?
For
You know?
real.
But I didn't care. I was like, guys, I gotta go. I'm sorry, but I gotta go. And he started, like, once we got in the car, this is how I knew it was serious. Manny, he's a very safe driver. And he didn't even buckle up. He started freaking zooming. Like,
it's so crazy because when I would call him too, like, I would kind of hear the air. I was like, oh my god.
No, and how can I explain it? Like, I get really bad anxiety in the car. You know that.
Yeah.
When Manny's driving, like, even a little bit over the speed limit, because I've been in so many car accidents that I'm like, I could tell, like, I have a radar. I'm like, lower your speed. You're going too fast, you know? And in that moment, he told me, he's like, look, I'm going to need you to get on the phone with the kids because you need to calm them down and you need to calm your anxiety down because I'm going to drive fast. And I was looking at the speedometer or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And it was so fast. And, like, I wanted to, like, desmayarme me. So I called you guys and you're like, Mom, he's outside. I have a knife. Dude, when this was happening...
yeah, the twins were also probably like, why does this girl have a knife?
Yeah.
Pobrecita.
So the fact that you had a knife in my head, I was like, dude, like, what? Like, for Kimmy to go to the extent... Like, Kimmy's bien miedosa, le tiene miedo a los gatos. So for her to be at that extent that she's like, I'm gonna put my siblings first, I don't care. I was like, dude, no. Like, I was just in my head, I swear. I was like, me and her, I was like, let's pray that we get there in time. Because this can't happen. And, like, the whole time Manny's like driving and trying to check the cameras at the same time. So I'm like freaking out. I'm like, don't get off the freaking cameras. So I'm like, you know what, Kimmy? I'm going to have to hang up on you because I wanted to check myself. So I hang up on you. And instead of checking the cameras, I call 911. And the reason why Manny didn't want me to call 911 is because he's like, what if we get in trouble because the kids are home alone? And mind you, we didn't want to call my mom because if somebody is outside our house like that,
she's also gonna get
like, what if they hurt my mom, you know? Like, so I was like, no, I'm gonna call the police. So I call the police and I tell them, because I know it's gonna take a little bit, and by this time we're already like 15 minutes away because like Manny was driving fast, right? So then I call and I'm like, guys, there's somebody in my front door and they're trying to break in. Because I didn't know details, and when it comes to police, I'm not gonna sit here and milk it. I was like, nope, they're trying to break in and my kids are in danger. He's like, does he have weapons? I don't know. Get there now.
For real, he's shirtless. That's
the thing is, guys. Oh my god. Okay, so we get to the house, right?
Oh my.
And
buckled up, y'all.
I promise you guys that this ride, it's a 30-minute ride. It felt like 10 minutes. Like, Manny got there so freaking fast.
I know. I was like, I was just on the phone with y'all.
Yeah, so we show up, and I don't know why in my head, you know how like when your kids call you like, oh Mom, we seen this, you're kind of expecting to not see anything there, and they're kind of like, I promise there was something there. Your brain's trying to calm you
down a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, ya no va a estar, you know. Tell me why we show up and the guy's in our front door.
He didn't even run away. What an idiot.
He turns around and he
waves.
Like, no, he just looks at us. Like, he's just like,
God.
I don't know if he was on drugs or si se estaba haciendo el güey o el pendejo. I don't know, because
I think that. Like, he was trying to be like, oh, whose house is this?
Yeah, but like, he was just standing there, and he, like you said, he had the blanket, the dog blanket, covering himself. And I think the reason why he was covering himself is because he was probably like, oh, the kids are not going to want to open the door because I don't have a shirt. This guy was shirtless in our front door.
Literally.
And guys, let me tell you. So we have a driveway to get into the fence, blah, blah, blah. Manny doesn't even finish parking. He pulls over and runs out of the car. And I
was scared. What if he had a weapon?
I'm on the phone with the police, okay? Like, Manny runs up to this man, guys, and we had steps. He drags him through like
filth.
No, like, he literally drags him out of our freaking like property, like como se dice, our whole front yard,
like the rocks. He threw?
Yeah, everything, dude.
You messed with the wrong family.
No, and he put him in the street, and dude, the worst part is that, like, he just threw him in the street, and then he's like, why, what? Like, I'm not trying to cuss, but Manny was going crazy. He's like, why are you in my house? And the guy was, like, not even answering, right? And I think it was giving me Manny more coraje. And
I would have been like, I'm
sorry.
Manny
just started pounding him. Like, he was just, guys, like, punching him like a punching bag, like, over and over. And I have the police on the phone, and I'm trying not to, like, freak out because I don't want the police to know my husband's beating this man up.
Is your husband okay? Dad's the one fighting.
Yeah. And then I think they could hear in the back, like, them screaming, and Manny's like, why would you do that? And then this guy tries to say, like, I'm here with Jehovah, like, I guess he's trying to preach or whatever.
Preach what, BB?
Jehovah, God, or whatever. But the thing is, again, I'm a little delusional when it comes to that. And I'm like, Manny, stop. Like, he was just here to talk about God. And Manny's like, with no freaking shirt.
At 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. And I didn't realize that. So I guess Manny got even more mad that he was like bringing up God.
Don't put that in vain, BJ.
And Manny, dude, got up. Mind you, this guy was already down. He was on the floor, and Manny started kicking him in the head. And I'm like,
he just slapped some sense into that man.
At that point, I was like, I'm gonna have to hang up on the police to tell Manny to stop, because I don't want.
You don't want to,
like, no quiero
unalive him.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so no, like, no quiero,
yeah.
like, I don't want that.
That's
you know?
never an excuse to do that.
Exactly. So yeah, like, he's putting our family in danger, but I mean, it's on, like, that's too much.
Yeah.
We can wait for the police to arrive. So I hang up on the police. I don't care, right? And I'm like, Manny, please stop. Like, I literally get in between them, right?
I know, and that's when I heard you screaming, and I kind of opened the door, and I was like,
yeah, I'm like, please, it's not worth it. Like, you don't want this for your life or whatever, you know. And you could tell Manny's like so mad, like he wants to chase after the man. But this is where I found out the guy wasn't okay, because when I got in between them, Manny stopped hitting them, and the guy was just there. And I was looking at the guy, and I was like, get out of here. Like, yeah, I was
you're all saving him?
Yeah, literally, I was saving him. And I know it sounds so dumb of me, but in my head, I'm like, I don't want my husband que se embarre las manos for somebody who's not worth it, you know? And I knew the police was on the way. I'm like, and I told the guy, I'm like, run! And
it's not like he's gonna get far. It's
which I shouldn't have, like, said run. But I was like, no, I don't want Manny, because I could see it, dude. Like, I don't know what took over him. He was so upset. Which, I mean, he had every reason to. Like, you know, his kids weren't. We didn't even check on the kids. We were just like dealing with this guy, because I mean, we're dealing with the danger. As soon as the guy runs, the police arrive, guys.
Oh my! I wonder what the neighbors were thinking. Like, what is going on?
Oh, now they want to be chismosos, but they couldn't rescue.
For real? I'm over like, help.
But okay, so the police arrive, and because they're like, what is he wearing? And I'm like, he just got away. He doesn't have a shirt on. Like, I'm describing him, right? And Manny's in so much coraje, like, he's so mad he can't even talk. He's just like,
did you see a guy all beat up
like,
with naked?
No, Manny wasn't even beat up. Like, this guy
not him. They see the guy all beat up without a shirt.
Exactly. So, like, and because he got arrastrado and he didn't have a shirt on, his back was like tore up. And Manny was like,
I feel bad, and he's over here
exactly
being a weirdo.
So Manny was like, just like so much anger he couldn't talk, and I'm like doing that, and then in my head I snap. I'm like, crap, they're gonna find him and they're gonna see he got beat up, and I don't want them to like come back and be like, why'd you beat this guy up?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, officer, I'm gonna be honest. My husband did hit him. He got him out of our property, and he's like, let me stop you right there. He was in your property? And I was like, yeah, he was. And he was like, if he's in your property, your husband has every right to hit him. And I was like, what? Like, I was like,
because it's in danger. You don't know what he had.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that, you know. I thought like Manny was gonna get charges or something. And
you're like, violence is violence.
Yeah, because you know it's the violence. So in my head, I'm like, oh, you don't have to do a police report or anything. He's like, no, not if I didn't see anything, and I didn't see anything.
Period.
So I was like,
that guy never came back.
Yeah, but okay, the crazy thing is, this is how you know God's on our side.
Yeah.
Because we finally got inside. Gracias a Dios, the kids were good. But you guys were traumatized. And that's the thing. Like, the kids were scared to even be at that home. But crazy enough, we were moving out 2 days later. Like, what are the odds?
Like, thank God it was then and not, like, when we first moved in, imagine. Well, that was a trip. It brought a lot of flashbacks. I feel like even us saying it, I was like, like, I would get... I think we do have PTSD, because I was like, I forgot I grabbed a knife. It was all pink.
Yeah. And when you remember the details, like, wait, what?
Like, yeah, like, I really did that. Like, I was really about to be freaking Superman for my siblings.
But you know what? I'm a strong believer de que, como dice el dicho, like, cuando te toca ni aunque te pongas, y cuando no te toca, you know what I mean? Basically, like, if it's your turn to go, then even if you remove yourself, you're still gonna go.
Yeah.
If it's not your turn, even if you put yourself, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm not, like, it's still a scary situation, but I feel like there's fear and stuff happening all the time. We just have to be very smart.
I feel like our lives are, like, already written. And we're just kind of living in it. Like, we don't have control of it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Like, and we can go on about that because, remember I was telling you, like, how I've been in so many car accidents that, like, looking back, like, how am I still alive?
Yep.
And it wasn't
That's
written.
another whole story, baby.
Yeah.
We've been through it.
But this is why we have a podcast.
That's why I say me resbala like this fast, because I've been through it.
Literally, like, for Kimmy to be ready to scrap with a grown man, knowing she's, you know, not gonna probably win, like, it still shows a lot. And I'm so proud of you, because I know it sounds like, oh, whatever. No, like, guys, if that was me in her shoes,
Girl, I was crying and like.
And then let me just talk about, I'm sorry I keep going back to it, but like the fact that she didn't call the police because she didn't want us to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And
because I was like, it never happens. Like, I don't want to do the one time it happens till you guys get in trouble, you know?
And that's why I also didn't think much about it. I was like, dude, we never leave the kids, you know? Like, ever. But this goes to show you, this is why I get paranoid to leave my kids. Because I'm like, no, like, I left them once. Y mira lo que me pasó. Like, I mean, when I do go out. Like,
and even Dixie now has her own little gate. Like,
yeah,
it's not
she
in
has
her front
her,
porch.
like, she's like, if they get into our backyard or whatever, which, I mean, we have different cameras now. Then she has her own little gated area. Because Dixie failed us that day.
For real. I was like,
she was besties with him.
For real. She's like, he looks cuddly.
He can borrow my blanket.
What breed of dogs are you?
But it's crazy. I never seen that guy again. I had never
like,
seen
we're laughing
him.
about it now, but I'm telling you, Mom, that was the worst. Imagine that guy that was calling you one-on-one. Like, at your job, saying,
No, like, all of these stories, like, it's crazy because that happened to Kimmy, and then we moved out, like, literally, like I was saying, 2 days later, and then, like, 2 months later, me pasa mi job thing, and then, like, not even a month later, that ski mask thing. It's kind of, like, back to back to back, and then I feel like people now think, like, oh, que mamonas, they don't want to say what they're doing or where they're at. And it's like, dude, like, I wouldn't care. If it was just me, like, eh.
And even then, we need to watch ourselves because you be carefree. Like, we're at freaking Target, and you're like, guys, I'm at Target.
Not anymore. I've been working
because we're trying to be genuine, y'all.
You know, yeah. And it's crazy because people are like, don't post it. Don't post real time. But I really want to just, like, be me. You know, like.
But it's hard in this world.
And I've noticed that, like, now it's more like, or even, like, little things here and there, which I'm not saying that they're stalkers, but sometimes, like, I meet, like, a stranger, right? And, I'm kind of like, how can I explain it? Like, the backhanded, like, oh, how many kids do you have? And I'm like, oh, I have, 4. And they're like, oh, do you have any, like, little ones? Like, they ask me rhetorical questions that I know that they know. Does that make sense?
Say that. Like, have you ever met somebody that they're asking you questions that you know they know?
Yeah, and it's like, girl, if you know who I am or you've seen me, like, let's just be for real. Like, because it's not that I'm trying to be mean. It's just, like, you're getting me paranoid now. Like, are you my stalker? Like, so if you know me, like, and we meet, like, just tell me straight up. Because if not, I'm going to be overthinking it. I'm an overthinker now. I think that has definitely made us an overthinker. And it's not that we want to be, like, some type of way. It's just kind of like, we've learned it's better to trust your gut feeling because it's never failed us. Yeah. You know? And
ever. I'm like, I want spaghetti today. I'm just kidding. But
yeah, guys, we want to end it on a better note, positive note. We're still good. We're still thriving. Yeah. A little traumatic and sad girl vibes, but we're still here.
It's been a minute.
Kimmy?
Okay, guys, here's a backstory to that. We literally want to end it on a good note. So, I think the twins said it once, and I was like, Mwak. They're geniuses. Iconic. So, it's usually spelled moi with the H at the end. But most of our initials are M and K besides David and
Mimi, Kimmy, Mylene, Kylene. Yeah.
Like the girls. And M for the beginning of the M, and then the K at the end of moi.
Mwak.
Iconic.
So that's our new thing.
It's an Easter egg, y'all.
If you guys are like, why do they say mwak now? Mwak. It's because, it's mwak.
Mwak.
And it's literally iconic.
I love that.
So that's how we're going to be ending it now. But guys, we are on a better note, and we really are going to be doing back-to-back. Mind you, we have also been a little bit gone because I'm the one who edits, like I mentioned before, and I was waiting for the kids to go back to school to kind of go back into my work zone. But we're here, and we're better than ever. Make sure you give us a review if you're listening on Spotify.
Like, share, comment on YouTube, and watch our beautiful faces.
And
or hear us.
If you haven't heard the previous videos, make sure you listen to those as well. But we will be back next week with another good talk.
Bye.
Mwah.